Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's time for another Baltimore Comic-Con live panel, and we're going late night for the East Coast, but it's the shank of the evening on the West Coast. And look who's joining me for a great conversation about the fantastic show Lucifer in the midst of season 5 now on Netflix. Co-executive producer, co-showrunner, my guy Joe Henderson. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. I know it's late in Baltimore. It feels late here because I have two kids. So, it's the same thing.
Dude, I'm so glad you're back and in the midst of season finishing up season. I imagine you maybe finished that last episode of season 5. That was the dangling one as far as production goes.
We have finished shooting it. I have watched multiple cuts of it. It is glorious. It's so good. It's so good. Oh.
Well, we're here for all the Lucy fans to ask questions about what to expect. Do we have a date for the second half of season 5?
We don't, and a lot of fans have been asking about it, and the honest answer that I can give them is that I don't know. And one of the reasons that I don't know is because there's a lot of factors that are still going into things. We're early in post. We're cutting it together. We still got to go through a number of passes, and there's just so many parts of the process that still need to happen to make it shiny and beautiful and wonderful and the perfect final episode of our 5th season to deliver to the fans. So I ask everyone, I know it's not easy to be patient. I know you don't want to be patient. I don't want to be patient. I want it out there like now. I wish that you guys could just watch the cut that I just watched, except I don't, because it's going to be much cooler when we're done with it, and I promise you it will be what you want. Thank you, Patrick. I am too.
Yeah, man. And I don't blame everyone for the excitement. And also, this is the thing, Joe. It's this binging thing that Netflix does, which is, I think, great. But then also, like addicts, we're like left with, hey, man, I need a fix. Come on.
Yeah,
I know I just
and I'm with you.
We need more. And especially where things left with the entrance of Dennis Haysbert. Now we can spoil.
Yes, you can finally listen, we are Ildi and I in particular, and the entire writing staff and everyone working on the show, we're the biggest fans of the show. We love it.
Yeah.
Like, we love making it. We love sharing it. And it was so hard for us to have created 16 episodes that no one had seen yet. We wanted to talk to you guys about it. We wanted you to experience it. And so now that at least half of them are out, now we're annoyed you haven't watched the second half because we want to talk about those. So but there's so much good to come. You guys have seen a clip of the musical episode that'll be coming up, which is just a taste of the crazy things we're doing. Like, one of the things we did when we were working on season 5 is we were like, what are the bucket list things? Because there's no way we'll get a season 6. There is no way there will be a season 6. So we have to do everything because there's no way there'll be a season 6. Never. There was no way. What can you do? Having said that, turns out there were a lot of things that we could still do.
I'm really excited, man, and truly, I'm honestly, man, and I keep saying this. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for the entire casting crew because, good Lord, what a roller coaster the powers that be have put on this series. And again, and with nobody's fault. Nobody saw Fox being bought by Disney. Nobody saw the fire sale of the Fox network of, all right, what shows are we going to keep? What shows are we going to lose? And man, you guys have been living on the bubble. Was it season to season, Joe? Really? Like, I mean, how precarious has the life of Lucifer been as a television series?
I mean, we're the scrapper. We're the show that became a hit season 4 and then got canceled season 5 and then came back again. Like, and honestly, part of it I love because it's like it's so reflective of the character of the show, of what it all is. Like, we are Lucifer's a scrapper as much as he's the devil. He's both the light bringer, but also the kid who got kicked all the way down, the one who get rejected. We're the kids who got picked last for kickball. Like, that's the beauty of it. And so there's also just a bit of humbling to it, where when you gotta like fight for your breakfast, when you've got to fight to make it on the screen. And like, I think that's part of the reason that people have responded to the show, because we're scrappers. Like, we're going to figure out every single way to give you guys everything you want, because it's everything that we want.
That's awesome, man. No, and truly, the inventiveness began in this first half of season 5 with the film noir black and white episode. Great stuff there, hilarious.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, and truly, and I am psyched for the musical episode because we've already gotten a taste of May singing, so it's only going to be better watching more. So that's.
And that was such a fun part of it too, is what we love to do is show off what our actors can do. So much of what we work backwards from is a couple things. What are the dynamics we're leaving on the table? What are the things that we want to see as Decker Star fans, as fans of the show, as fans of the dynamics? How do we hurt ourselves? But also, like, what's the thing about, like, for example, Rachel Harris you don't know? Do you know she's hilarious? You know that she's got some of the best comedic timing out there, but do you know how much she can break your heart? In the exact opposite direction, Leslie Ann Brandt, yeah, she can play a badass, but you know how much she can break your heart in a completely different direction? Yeah. Like, there's all of these opportunities, and that's the fun of our show. Like, Ella in season 5A is fun and light, and then in the finale, she breaks your heart. So basically, we just arc towards how do we have each character break your heart, because ultimately that's our fuel. How do we break our characters, put them back together again, and show just how strong and wonderful they are, and how wonderful our actors are.
Very cool. Now here, man, already people are coming in with questions.
Yeah, give me.
Exactly. Yeah. So first of all, a good general question from Tara: how is the shooting process like because of COVID? Yeah, man. How much has the set changed?
It's it's weird. It's weird, and I think some set photos have come out. And Amy, I believe, did some behind the scenes videoing, which I think was really helpful, because I think it's really helpful for everyone to see how safe we're trying to keep the crew, how safe we're trying to keep the cast, how important it is. Like, listen, we love our show. The show is the second most important thing behind the safety of everyone involved in it. And the challenge for us as creatives is how to not sacrifice story for safety. And it's actually been really kind of awesome, because it's forced us to dig deeper into simpler scenes, more emotionally resonant scenes, and just like find ways to find truths in a different way. Like, are we going to have less fight scenes this season? Yes. Are we going to have more moments that break your heart? Yes. So, like, there's going to be a trade-off on things, but I don't think people are going to mind. I think, if anything, it seems more fitting for the end season. We are going to wrap up stories. We're going to wrap up characters. We are going to tell final tales of the characters we've loved so much.
Outstanding, man. All right, 1 million people are asking, and obviously some of these might start hitting in a spoiler area, so we don't want to spoil too much.
I'll take them. I can either dodge or answer as much as I can.
All right, CJ is among the ones wondering if Trisha Helfer will mom. We've seen father, and we've certainly seen mother in the past. Come on, man. There's got to be a Ralph and Alex honeymooners moment between these guys, no?
Listen, as of yet, no, we're not done yet. But honestly, we felt like it was important that we wrapped up that story and that season 5 was about Dad. Okay. Having said that, we got Trisha, and we wanted to bring Trisha back, especially because 5 was our last season. and so we got her back for the flashback episode. And we had an opportunity to show also Trisha Helfer's range and how she can do so many different things. So that was our way of sort of saying goodbye to her in a different way. Listen, never say never. We're not finished with the season, with the series, but as of now, no. But great question.
Okay. Are the actors still filming general, like office crime scenes, office scenes together? Ooh, that's
these are great questions. Yes. So everyone, we're still filming. Here's the funny thing: we went back and watched a whole bunch of episodes, and our characters actually usually stand about 6 feet apart from each other when they talk. Okay. So because you block it out so that you can see them, and you can. So honestly, because we just shot a bunch of the finale. We shot about, say, a third of the finale before COVID and the rest after. And I was texting with Tom Ellis, and he's like, how different does it look? And I'm like, the weird thing is it doesn't.
That's great.
Like, you're hard pressed to figure out what was shot before COVID and what was after. And I think that's a testament to the way we're shooting and being clever. And, listen, there are ways to make it work, and there are ways to have people interact safely and quickly, but also not sacrifice their safety, which again is the most important part. But listen, if you go through 516 and you don't know what was shot when, I would challenge everyone when that episode finally airs to tell me what they were shot when, which hopefully should get everyone comfort.
Very cool. Joe, you'll forgive me. I did leave my bathroom door open. I don't think you can see my toilet, thankfully, but there's my sink. So I don't know how, as a guy that's
Beautiful sink.
constantly, I was going to say, am I framed all right? Are we doing okay?
It's a beautiful sink. It's the best thing I've ever
original
seen.
art and my fun Batman print. So I hope
I
that's
didn't notice
okay.
it.
Well, that's all right. Well, I'm sure some people are like, hey, look, it's such as his bathroom once again. So, man, I'll tell you. Okay, Sandra, great question. Poor Ella, you put her through the ringer, but man, that episode when she finds out her boyfriend is serial killer material, man, it was creepy and it was fantastic, and the mood and the tone. But yeah, poor Ella. Will she ever find a good boyfriend?
You know, it's that is a very good question. First of all, I just want to say, and the actor's name escapes me right now, but the guy who we got to play Pete was just awesome, and he was such a nice addition and such a nice person. And Megan's question will actually deal with this as well, so I'll fold both of them into this because Megan is asking how will Ella deal with the fallout of 5A and 5B. So Ella basically, she finally opened her heart up to a nice guy, and it got shut down. So that's a big part of 5B. And a big part of it is, do I deserve a good guy? Can I find a good guy? Am I broken? And obviously a lot of that was 5A, but now she's just gotten slammed down even harder. So it's sort of like that moment where you're like, hey, maybe I can. And you've just gotten a big, big glaring warning sign, which says you can't.
Okay. And by the way, Alexander Koch is your guy.
Thank you.
Pete. Oh, I'm dude, so and that's why if it looks like I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm looking at IMDb.
Good,
making sure we got the info. Absolutely, man.
So good, and he was a lovely guy. Super. We actually had to move here. Little background story. We had to move scenes around because of a production thing, and his scene with Ella got moved up a week. And luckily, because he knew all the lines, he had it all memorized, he had it all in his head, and Ella knew, and Amy knew it. They did that scene a week earlier than they were supposed to. And they nailed it. And it was one of those things because production is such a moving target. And when you hire professionals who bring their A game, I mean, in theory, we might have gotten something even better from them because it was that immediacy and that all right, we got to do this right now. It was very impressive.
That's awesome. The Great Legend. I don't know how this is possible if they're in the same universe or not. Any thoughts of a Lucifer Riverdale crossover?
Here's what I'll tell you. The amount of work it took to get Lucifer into Crisis on Infinite Earths, which, by the way,
talk about that, Joe, please. Yes,
sure. I mean, like so here, I'll tell you what happened is the crossover previously happened, and it said coming next year, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I immediately emailed Dan Evans at DC, who's an executive there, and I said, if there are Infinite Earths, Lucifer is on one of them. It's Earth 666. And I was like, that's just what it is. And he's like, that's a good point. I'm like, listen, whoever I need to arm wrestle, I want to make this happen. And months passed, because obviously months passed in between. And I actually don't know how much of it was me whispering in Dan's ear or Mark Guggenheim having already thought of it, which is my guess. But and the two of them sort of colliding. But it's a legal nightmare just for that. But everyone did it because it was also the coolest thing ever. It's Lucifer and Constantine. It's like, you've got to do it if you've got the chance. So the very, very long answer, short, is probably not, especially just because, I mean, I can almost say definitely not, just because we're almost done with our season. But I love crossovers. I love things like that. But that one almost killed us. So
did you shoot it? Did you shoot it on your sets, or
we went up to Vancouver? Tom and I took a flight. I glommed on. I say like, oh yeah, they needed me up there. No, I glommed on. I was like, I'm going.
Well, that's so great.
And it was awesome because I got to hang out with them. And there was a writer from Flash, from Supergirl, from Black Lightning, from Arrow. And so I got to sort of get to know a whole bunch of the writers from the Arrowverse. I already knew most of them, which was kind of awesome. And it was just this wonderful collective moment where you're like, this is history. This is something big and cool, and we want to be a part of it.
I understand, man. And the writers that I know behind the scenes of the CW shows, they love doing it. It is extra strain though on everybody.
Oh my, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how.
And truly the actors as well. So I mean, and they have those still full 22 episode seasons and stuff. So it's a weird time, Joe. And again, I always like talking about where television is right now. And yeah, I mean, it's this like hybrid of, well, on the big networks, it's 22 episodes still. On basic cable and streaming and stuff, it's 8 to 15 episodes, I suppose. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting, and especially the physical demands. I mean, luckily Tom's seen, he wasn't throwing any flying kicks or anything crazy like that.
Yeah. Well,
But
because we basically had 3 hours. We had 3 hours of shoot
wow,
scene. And by the way, Lauren Serto is the name of the writer who wrote the scene. I think we pitched a couple lines. I pitched the line where Lucifer is where Diggle's being aggressive to Lucifer, and he's like, flirt. I'll take full credit for that. That's all I get. Everything else was her. And actually Tom and Matt Ryan riffing a little bit here and there. And actually, no, one other thing, Mike Costa, one of the writers from our show and a comic book writer, was talking to Tom Ellis, and he's like, it's actually Constantine. And he went into this lengthy explanation of Alan Moore and how he actually meant it to be Constantine and how it's a terrible, terrible thing that it's Constantine. And Tom was like, I'm going to use that to needle him.
that's outstanding.
But that was the fun of it, because we're all fans and we all love it. But when it comes to the TV industry and everything, one of the things that I find really interesting is in the era of COVID, everything takes longer, everything's harder, which is again speaks like crossovers and things like that. It's harder to share things and people because it's all about safety. It's all about how do you make sure everyone's taken care of, and also production schedules everything takes longer to shoot. A lot of shows are shooting over longer periods of time, which is going to make it harder to shoot as many episodes as people have previously done. And I love Black Lightning too.
Yeah, really man. Good. Well, again, like you said, everybody that's working on these shows, including your guys like Costa and the like, you guys are all fans, and that you want to see these things happen and happen in the right way. Someone asked, obviously, if Earth 666 survived. Well, of course it did. That's the Lucifer Earth.
Yeah,
yeah,
right. No, it's funny when I was like, did we just explode? Did they just kill us? We're sneakily out there, like devilishly, if you will.
Of course, exactly. If anything, he's hiding it from everybody.
Exactly.
So
no one knows he's there.
Here's something interesting from Yoshi Trap. Are you planning to introduce like one minor character, then kill or wrap them up next season? That's fantastic. Like Pete.
That's awesome. Oh man, that's a wonderfully specific question from someone with one of the better icons I've seen in a while. I don't think so. I actually really got to think about that one. Here's what I'll say is the big focus of season 6 is on our core cast. Sure. And we will have new characters coming in, but the biggest focus and the thing that's most important to us is telling the stories of what's happening to these people. But that doesn't mean that these stories won't be without loss.
All right, fair enough. Excellent. I'm scrolling here. Sherry wants to know, will Leslie Gort make another appearance?
Lindsay Gort, right? Am I getting it wrong? Now I'm afraid that I'm getting it wrong. But she
not getting it wrong.
She not as of yet. And honestly, the challenge is 1, she's on All Rise, and she's amazing on All Rise. 2, one of the nicest people I've ever worked with. And 3, it just became a question of, did we have the right story for her? And at the beginning of every season, ever since we had her back last time, she's one of the characters that comes up, which is, how do we make sure that we do right by her? If we're going to get her, it's got to be a worthy story. And, it's like there's a lot of story to be had there. Her looking at Lucifer and being like, finally, you made the right decision. Her supporting her, but it almost just felt more like a wrap up as opposed to a story. And so, honestly, we kept trying to find a story worthy of her, and we didn't. But dear Lord, is she both an awesome actress and an awesome person.
That's excellent, man. All right, I had to promote here because honestly, I'm seeing so many new people in the chat. That was really my hope, everybody. So I'm so glad you're here, because truly we wanted to get Lucy fans the opportunity to chime in and ask these questions. Patrick, pardon me, Joe and I, thinking of another showrunner I had on last night, Pat Schumacher, who's doing Harley Quinn.
Oh man, he's the best. And Harley Quinn is so effing good. I just finished it. I need to tweet about it. So Patrick, don't be mad at me, but I just finished it, and it's so good. It is just mind-blowingly good, and I love it. If anyone's watching, watch that. It is. Can I F-bomb?
Of course you can. Absolutely.
It is F-bombing awesome.
It is fucking awesome. You're 100% right, man. So now here's a great eagle eye question from Patrick Starr. In the scene in episode 6 of season 5, where Chloe is confronting Ron, it shows the blue background and the outline of like a throne. It seems to be parallel to Lucifer fourth season, episode 1. Is this foreshadowing something? Ooh.
I mean, it's a great
eagle eye.
If I remember correctly, it is more of just a sort of subliminal iconography, which is the director realizing it a really cool image that could speak to something we've seen before and basically speak to the journey these characters are going on. It is not an intentional foreshadowing per se, but I love your eye because that's one of the things I love about when our directors come in is they dig into the iconography of the series and find ways to speak to them, especially in emotionally resonant moments that speak to the characters' journeys, because a lot of times they know either not only where the characters have been, but often where they're going.
Understood. Oh, thank you, Legend. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
and yeah, man. No, seriously, I felt the same way. This is great. Let's see here. People are asking if Decker Starr are going to break up.
Yep. And they'll never get back together. I'm really sorry to spoil that on this call, but it's time to just put it out there. It's actually gonna be all right. I'll just tell you, the first scene of 5B is Lucifer and Chloe saying we're never gonna talk again, and then the rest of the show is actually Lucifer on one story and Chloe on another, and they don't actually spend any time together. It's I know it sounds weird, but trust me, it'll work.
Interesting. Oh wow, man. Okay, but that's it. When you
let me.
Are you being serious or am I being gullible?
No, you're being gullible. I mean, here's
that's cool. You can be. I'm gullible.
The truth is, we are the biggest Decker Starr shippers next to you guys, and so we love them. But we also know that the fun of it is just because a couple is together doesn't mean there won't be bumps, that there won't be roadblocks. But at the same time, we respect the amount of emotional investment that our fans have put into the characters because we've put them in there. So much of the story going forward is, I mean, I'm not going to comment on spoilers.
I understand. Absolutely, man. That's hilarious.
But so much of the story is the story of love, but the story of love is often, sorry, Tracy. So often it is a story of challenges. And I think what I love about it is challenges make a romance feel all the more earned. And that's the thing. This is a romance of the time. This is a romance, a timeless romance to me. It is, like Tom always says, it's Beauty and the Beast. It's our riff on it. It's our take on it. And every single challenge that gets in the way of it earns the ultimate coming together of these two characters all the more.
I understand, man. And honestly, when our main characters that we really want to get together finally do it, for you guys as writers and producers and actors, that's when the tightrope walk starts, because how many shows the air goes out of the room once it happens. Moonlighting. I mean, literally, let me go back to I Dream of Jeannie, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's
it is the biggest challenge, and again, that's why that's why we break them apart at the very beginning of season 5B, and they're never together again. So there it is.
Absolutely, man. I love this. Truly, you are playing with people's emotions, and they're all. And I want to just for the audio audience, I want to say they're freaking out. That's why
the Lucifer fans in general are such good sports because I screw with them all the time in a way that they understand. Like one of the things I love about our community is it's very much a two-way street, and they love to go back and forth on these things. They bust my balls on Twitter. We all have fun together. And I love their passion, and they're also their sense of humor. It's really cool.
Well, again, it comes from the show, man. I mean, that's the thing. Honestly, Joe, I wasn't sure if I was going to like Lucifer because I'm like, the devil solving crimes in L.A.?
John, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I came on after the pilot. I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. I mean, I was a huge fan of Sandman. Huge. I was a huge fan of Mike Carey's run, which is beautiful.
100%.
So I was like, wait, they're turning him into a police procedural consultant? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then I read the script. I'm like, that's pretty good. And then I watched the pilot. I'm like, that's great. That is. And it just shows there's no such thing as a bad idea. There's just bad execution. And even an idea like the devil solving crimes in Los Angeles can be done well. It's not easy, I like to think we do pretty good, though.
Well, and again, it's a credit to all of you writers and producers. It's a credit to that cast that can deliver this material with such aplomb. Tom and Laura and Kevin and DB, everybody. Yes. Good Lord, and of course, we mentioned Rachel and Leslie and Amy. Good, they're everybody, man. Yeah, absolutely. They're all superstars. Even little Esteves. Scarlett. Yeah. Now obviously she's part of the Esteves family royalty, I'm assuming, like Martin Sheen and Emilio or is she not? Is she not? Forgive me.
I have never asked. So okay. I do not know.
All right, fair enough. Well, she's a credit to the name, even if she isn't part of the family. So I
agree.
That's fantastic. And I'll even throw Joe in there as well, Martin's brother, who is awesome in a lot of genre fiction films like Maniac Cop 3 and things like that.
Man, you are deep cutting. I love it.
I know my audience. Absolutely, man. When I thought I was finally going to have Lucifer's I Love You for Chloe, you guys stopped time. You guys always play with my heart. Thanks.
That's cute. I tell you what, thank you. Because, by the way, I like my Golden Girls.
Hilarious. Fantastic. Go on.
All right. So, again, that's us writing to us because we're you. We want to see that. So how do we hurt ourselves as much as possible? And how do we create moments that are so close but so far away? And so that was it. It's like, what if we're so close, but then the worst possible thing happens? And so much of it is picking that up at the beginning of 5B, which is, I mean, let's just keep in mind, like time has frozen for Chloe, but it hasn't for Lucifer. So I would imagine that might create complications for if time ever returns, what happens then?
And people are asking too, what you're going to do with Michael and Lucy, because certainly you've introduced Michael. He was kind of a problem, certainly at the beginning of the season. Yeah. We're obviously, now, especially with Dennis Haysbert as God coming on the scene, I'm sure the boys are going to get a talking to from Dad. So
that would make sense. The brotherly squabble we had. So much of season 5A was Michael as the antagonist, and one of the things that was really important to all of us in the writers' room and Tom, season 5B, was every season the antagonist needs to be the hero of their own story.
Yes.
And we hinted at it a bit, but we didn't really dig into it, and that's one of the things we dig into in the back half, which is when Michael is actually the only character in the show and Lucifer leaves for the rest of the season, which is, I know, experimental, but you guys will love it. It's really cool.
He's fucking with us again.
But having said that, so much of it is digging into that in the sense that, like, there's a two-way street in the resentment between the two of them, and that his antipathy towards Lucifer, if not necessarily is earned, is sympathetic.
Okay. Man, another great question. Jen, I love this question. I love how the show handles abusive parents' post-traumatic stress disorder with such compassion and honesty. Has that involved psychology consultants?
Oh, man, thank you. That is one of the nicer things you could possibly say. It hasn't. Honestly, we're a lot of writers who have had various issues and or are very sensitive to those kind of things, and that actually really means a lot to me. Yeah, it's one of those things that it's one of the important touchstones of Lucifer. It's a thematic of Lucifer's story. But whenever you deal with parents, you're dealing with the extremes and the degrees. And one of the things we really wanted to explore, and we'll continue to explore, there's actually my episode season 6, which we start shooting next week, digs into this a lot. And hopefully of a similar way. I really hope you feel the same way, because it's actually, I think, the episode that digs into that kind of stuff potentially the most, next to 5B, the first season back. So it's something that's important to us, and so thank you.
And also, again, going back to 5A and the noir episode, Maze and her mother,
yes,
and all that baggage was just amazing. So, and now, man, again, I love these questions because people are really digging,
really good.
And they're so deep in the DNA of this show. Yeah. So Sherry asks, so looking forward to family dinner. How many boxes of Kleenex will I need?
I would like to return the question. Hey guys, who do you think's at the family dinner? That's what I want to know. But the answer is a lot.
All right, fair enough.
I cried at the table read.
Wow. Jesus, that's amazing. Hey, I got to promote. Speaking of table reads, I was telling you before we went on the air.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
I want to remind everyone that's watching, and I hope you're all enjoying Baltimore Comic-Con. We're all very proud of the show we've been bringing you this day and a half. Tomorrow's going to be amazing, and one of the last panels, I hate using the word, but it does fit this time. The penultimate, the second to last. That's all penultimate means, guys. It sounds so impressive, but all it means is second to last. But 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, we're doing Kingdom Come voiceover theater, where we will have a table read with two of the stars of the Justice League animated series, George Newbern, who played Superman so well, Susan Eisenberg, my dear friend who played Wonder Woman so well. They're going to be acting out scenes from the classic Mark Waid, Alex Ross story, Kingdom Come. And Mark Waid will be narrating the narration parts, and I keep describing it as envision Neil Simon overseeing an Odd Couple table read. And they are really excited about it. Susan, in fact, called me today, and she's so excited about playing this dark version of Wonder Woman that we rarely see. And that's one of the great things about Kingdom Come. So can't wait. So yeah, man, I mean, as a guy who's always in table reading rooms and stuff like that, Joe is appropriately excited as well. So
good segue. No, it's all. I'm so excited. That's so cool. Kingdom Come is that's formative to me.
100%, man. No, it's an incredible story. So let's see here. That's fine. Tracy has a guest on Family Dinner. Oh wait, there it is.
So yeah, see. Okay. Oh, interesting guess. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to tell you who's right. I just want to know the guesses. Interesting guess.
There you go, man. Everyone's thinking, man.
These are good questions. These are good questions. And by the way, some of you might know, and it looks like a lot of you do, I told you how many people are going to be at the dinner months ago. And I'm pretty sure everyone on this chat seems to know that number. So kudos to you guys.
Again, I really appreciate you all coming out and being here for these questions for Joe, because seriously, it's like, we sometimes we'll talk a couple months at a time. And then Joe goes back and he's making the donuts. As I always say, it's like, we'd rather you make the donuts than talk about making the donuts. But I'm glad you have the chance now to talk about making the donuts.
I love it. I love it. And by the way, I love having a chance. I like to fuck around with the fans on Twitter a little bit, but these are super helpful. That's right, Erica. 5 people. Man, you are
5 people at the dinner. Absolutely.
There was a question about titles for season 6, because I started going through the comments.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Joe. Yes.
And we're not releasing them yet. We're sort of a couple minds of it, and the honest hesitation is that since season 5B isn't out yet, we don't want to step on that and have anything sort of pop up that might get in the way of that. So right now we're holding them. We might change our minds on it. We're not sure, but we always love revealing the title and showing it to you guys and sharing it to you guys. But the truth of it is, we also want to keep some suspense and really let 5B live as its own thing. And if it was coming out, in a month, that would be okay, but it's not coming out in a month. It's not coming out in 2 months. I don't know when it's coming out next year, but I just want to make sure that everyone is able to properly enjoy 5B before digging too much into 6, because 5B it's awesome. So.
Now, again, is 5B, is that where the musical number is or musical episode? Okay. Well, then with that in mind, Friv, may you at least be able to give us the name of one song from the musical episode we want to sing together. And before you answer, Joe, it is interesting. Is it easier to create and less expensive, honestly, to create original music like they did in the Buffy musical episode versus what we got on the Supergirl Flash crossover with established songs, kind of in that Glee mode?
It is cheaper, but also singing covers of songs is also cheaper than just playing the songs.
Okay.
So what you have to do is you have to option, I think, the lyric rights and the music rights, but you don't have to get the rights for the vocalist.
The performance, sure.
Exactly, the performance rights. So you get a little bit of wiggle room on that. It still can be very expensive. But we've never tried to do a song with original lyrics. Okay. That sounds exhausting and impossible, and I don't know how the Buffy people did it, other than to say that, dear Lord, well done. But one song, which is actually, if you guys haven't seen, is actually out there right now. We released it a month ago as part of DC Fandom. It's Another One Bites the Dust by Queen.
Hilarious.
So the entire clip is online. You can check it out. It is glorious, and it is only the tip of the iceberg of the songs that you were going to see. Ildi wrote it. Sherwin Shalati, one of our directors who's been with us since season 2, directed it, and it is glorious. It's just so much fun.
As you've been saying, you're crossing off your bucket list of the things you guys want to do before the show wraps up. And truly, man, I appreciate all the imagination and ambition you guys are putting in these episodes. It's very self-evident, and really, I mean, again, 5A was so great, and
Listen,
I mean, really, the whole season, the full half of the season was great, but that noir episode really scratched my itch, man. I'm such a noir fan, and you guys nailed it. It was so beautiful.
And by the way, Ayanna White was our writer who actually wrote the episode, and she just she just infused so much specificity and character into it. Our director did an amazing job. Like, so much of it too is like, what we like to do is create challenges for the people around us who we know can step up to the plate and handle these things. And noirs are hard. They can look really cheesy really quickly. Yeah. And luckily our team, our director, our production designer, our writer, like everyone went, okay, how do we make sure that we earn this and make sure it's not a gimmick, but instead a storytelling device? And that is so important to us.
That's really interesting. Exposing the Lucifer fandom. Everyone I know hates that noir episode. Well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy, because goddamn, I love that episode. I thought it was fantastic.
It's funny because like 95% of fandom loves it and 5% hates. And by the way, here's actually the thing. Actually, I wouldn't even say 5%. I'd say it's less than that. But there is some people don't like noir episodes. Some people don't like things that are sort of dream sequences. What I love about season 5A is when I ask people what their favorite episode is, almost everyone has a different episode's favorite. And honestly, the one I hear most is the noir episode. But
that's great.
But like, having said that, like, it's what I'm happy about is we took big swings. Like episode 502, my wife was like, I don't like this episode because Lucifer's not in it. She's like, I mean, it's a very well made episode. And then I was talking to a writer, he's like, 502 is my favorite episode. What a cool swing. And it's like, it's all subjective. And but like, we tried to create a little bit for everyone. And that's what was super fun. Boo Normal is still canon. I will say that right now to the fans asking, don't worry about it. That one's still in there. So
okay. That's good to hear. Someone said
they wanted to speak to her, to her thinking she's crazy in ways that will help further cement it into the canon so that it will be an unquestionable and indisputable fact.
I'm not expecting an answer, but I love this call out that someone wants to hear Tom Ellis sing "Wicked Games," which I'm assuming is not the Chris. Was it Chris?
Yeah, I feel like that was on our list at times. I don't know why we haven't done it or what. I mean, that is one of the songs that has come up before because, dear Lord.
There you go.
Yeah. And by the way, Danny, I love episode 2 too. So
there you go, man. Absolutely.
I love every LD.
CJ, can you speak about Charlie just a little bit, please?
Charlie. Yeah, that kid, huh? Man, I wonder if he has wings. Huh. Well, oh well.
Absolutely. And truly, man, that whole thing of Rachel, Linda and Amandiel being parents now and dealing with that, and truly DB just being this poor helpless dad. And everything was just fantastic.
Well, and by the way, to that point, to answer the question seriously, what we wanted to do is we knew God was coming, and we wanted to put Amenadiel in a situation that either contrasted or paralleled his own dad, because a lot of the back half is Lucifer and Amenadiel dealing with their father being there. They both have very different relationships, but Amenadiel is a father now, and he's dealing with this idea, because like, if you look at God and Amenadiel was the favorite son. He was the best, but at the same time, there was a light bringer. Now Amenadiel has a son, but he's human, but he loves him. And so there's a complication between parents and children, and we really wanted to tee up Amenadiel and all of this parenthood stuff as we started to bring his dad in. But then God disappears in the first 2 minutes of 5B and never comes back. So it's too bad. We really should have kept him around. Huh.
Here's a good one, and another great character that you had. People wanted to know if we'll see Eve in 5B.
You know what? Yes, and actually, CJ has confirmed it. We do see Eve again. Oh my God, Inbar is amazing. So that was always part of the plan. We just wanted to have we want to put Maze either in the best or worst position for Eve to return. So we'll see which one that is. By the way, I also think Amenadiel is the MVP of 5A. I was fortunate enough to write the Amenadiel episode in season 5, and I chose that. I wanted that episode because when you're co-showrunning a show, you usually write the first episode or something like that. And Ildy and I both were like, let's not do that. Let's write different episodes. Let's write a normal episode. So she took 502 because it was like the hard one because it was Michael. It's like, oh God, we have to define this character's voice and write an episode that has Tom Ellis in it, but not Lucifer. That's an interesting new challenge. And Jason Ning had been a writer with us for a long time, had worked his way up to EP, and it felt like a good opportunity to let him show off what he could do. And as we started moving, I'm like, I really want to write an Amenadiel episode because we've never seen him work with Chloe. I love working with DB. And I just want to dig into that character. I really want to play with him because he's such a fascinating character. And I love the idea of the fact that he's basically this biblical angelic nerd. Like, he's God's greatest warrior, but he's also like the one who knows the most. So like him solving a human crime, but in the end, actually solving the biggest question of our series, which is the question of how Chloe affects Lucifer. That felt just so clean and simple and wonderful to me that it is a episode that's all about the relationship, but between Lucifer and Chloe, but it's also all about Amenadiel finding his place in the world and finding his drive and realizing just how many superpowers he has when it comes to his capacity for growth and investigation and everything else.
I just want to point out this question. It might be spoiler material, but I love this notion, and I certainly hope the writers are considering this as well. Good idea, Chris. Will God end up on Linda's couch? Wouldn't that be the best father-in-law, daughter-in-law conversation?
I mean, that seems like a good idea. I mean, that would be. But unfortunately, as I said, God leaves 2 minutes in to the first episode back and never comes back. So.
Again, he's fucking with us. He's still fucking with us. Everybody.
So it's too bad. It's too bad. But I wish you'd written that to us a year ago. But a great idea.
Well, there, hopefully there's time. We really don't know. This is interesting. Oh, wait, it's this one actually. Sandra, will Mace get her soul?
I think that is a lovely question. But I just don't know how.
Outstanding. All right, CJ. Again, I love fans that are so Zapruder film conscious of every frame. CJ, go ahead.
No. I saw a pic of Tom and someone else like in a silver robe. Oh, you might have seen some pictures from the interwebs. Don't trust them; they're mostly Photoshop. So who's to say what's real and what's fake? I mean, I could put myself in a silver robe. So other angels? I don't think there's other angels in the show. So have you seen any? I haven't seen any. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Someone asked earlier if we've seen portions of hell, obviously. Will we see heaven?
That is a good question. Sorry, I was reading Exposing Lucifer Fandom, who apparently knows who Zadkiel is. So well done. But I don't know who that is. I don't know who Zadkiel is. So that's confusing.
You guys are amazing.
Will we see heaven? So season 1, Ildy and I very vociferously said we will never see hell. And then at the end of season 1, we went to hell because we realized that we had the story for it. So the answer to that question is if we find the story worthy of it, and we're not quite done with the season, and we're not quite there yet, but that is a question that we're constantly asking ourselves because we have to, if we do that, the series, we have to make sure we earn it. We have to make sure that we have a take on it that feels clean and unique and our show. And if we find that, then we will.
I love this hope. It's very possible that because Maze hurts, she may already have a soul. Why not? Certainly, if she was pure demon, would these terrible things that we see that really would crush anybody's soul, would they affect her if she didn't already have one? I completely agree.
That is a very interesting question.
Hey man, seriously, high-minded stuff from the Lucy fans. I honestly,
this is why I love them.
I am beside myself with
this
happiness.
Is awesome. I'm running a gauntlet, and I love it.
This is excellent. And Joe, honestly, it is in the middle of Saturday night. You are with the family, and I know you're working hard.
Oh,
We
don't
could.
worry.
I was going to say we could go over an hour if we need to because we're closing out the show tonight. So there's no panel following us. I've been letting I'm kind of the traffic cop, reminding everyone, hey, you got to be out in 55 minutes because we got to make room for the next panel. There is no next panel tonight.
There it is.
So we can keep rocking.
I'll just have to pour a little whiskey and then we'll do it.
That's fine, buddy. It's all good. Let's see here. Entre Mundos. Joe, I don't know if you know this, but in Brazil, we call Michael the Torrentino, which would be in English something like crooked boy because he's crooked.
He is, and that is also one of the things that we will explore as to why he is like that in season 5B.
Fair enough. This is hilarious. I love this. Will we see another drunken Chloe again? We need it.
Oh God. I'm trying to remember now. I'm not sure. Okay. Partially because I can't remember what is past and what is present. It's funny because I was giving interviews before season 5A dropped, and I'd be like, wait, has this aired yet? What's aired yet? Because we get so far ahead, and also we tell multiple versions of each episode because we tell a version and that doesn't work, and we explore different directions. So like these characters go on multiple journeys in our hearts and in our minds. All I'll say is I love Drunken Chloe, and if we haven't done that, we should hopefully find a place to do it. I can't remember if we have, but I love her too.
I loved when Chloe and Maze were together early on in 5A and working together and really kind of trying to cling to each other in a very personal way, even though they knew it wasn't right. And it was just, it's again, that's why the status quo where things were at the beginning of 5A was so much fun because everybody was out of their element. Everybody was just freaking. I mean, really, the entire cast, and that was terrific to play with and explore. And also, as you said, some of these episodes, like the second one where it was Michael and Lucy wasn't there at all, if it was weekly, that might have been frustrating to watch. You know, it's funny, the streaming shows that are weekly, like the new Star Trek stuff, if it was in a binge, I wonder if I wouldn't be as frustrated when I'm not happy with an episode. And I'm like, all right, great. Now I got to, and then again, we're so fucking spoiled now with binging.
Look what happened with the boys. The boys, everyone review bombed them. And listen, I was one of the people who was frustrated I wasn't getting the episodes. But at the same time, on the other hand, there is a value to spending a week soaking in the story of an episode and wondering what's going to happen next and being frustrated. Like, honestly, I like both appeals. Like, I think The Mandalorian worked because it was on a weekly schedule and because people talked about it.
Yes.
And listen, I miss being able to watch everyone guess what happened between episodes 3 and 4. I don't get that anymore.
Right.
But at the same time, I also get everyone to just be able to embrace it and experience it. So, 6 of 1 half dozen.
Well, and also because Lucy is a show that has been on for 5 years, I think the conversation continues. I do think some of these new shows don't benefit from a binge because, again, it's really like a drug fix where it's like, oh, my God, this was amazing. That was an incredible 10 episodes. And then, all right, see you for a year and a half before you get another season. And also, social media-wise, people stop talking about it. So, and honestly, Joe, I don't know how much you get into. I mean, obviously, you're a fan and you're watching what the fans say. But how is it as a showrunner watching the conversation about what you guys are making?
I'm lucky. Like our fans are not toxic. Our fans are. I mean, we have issues here and there at times. Stuff comes rears its head, which is unfortunate. But 98% of our fandom is just lovely. Loves the show, roots for it. They might disagree on how things work, but they're usually funny about it. There's a group of people who were frustrated when Lucifer got locked into I think they called it locked in the freezer, because we established that Lucifer got locked into a heavily fortified freezer, which was like, we literally laced it very clearly like that this thing is like impenetrable. And I ended up meeting a number of the fans, and they're like, yeah, we actually formed a group. We became friends because we all bonded over how stupid that was. And like, she said it with a smile, and I'm like, I disagree, but that's fair.
I'm with you, man. That's amazing.
Because like she was like, I love this show. I disagree on this. And I'm like, I'll always take that. That's fun. And like if you say it with a wink and you don't mean it with any malice, but you mean it with like, I love the show. I disagree on this. I'm like, bring it.
That's truly, man. This is what I love talking about you with. Absolutely. Now, Yoshi Trap here. I like how everyone is concerned about heaven and more parts of hell. Not going to lie, I'm curious too, but I want to know if a portion of purgatory will be introduced, like an episode with Lucy in Purgatory.
So right now, and I know this contradicts our Arrowverse mythology, but right now in our mythology, purgatory does not exist. So
interesting.
Which is why in my headcanon, our show takes place after Crisis on Infinite Earths, when the world got reformed, and Lucifer knew Constantine but never sent him to purgatory, because purgatory in our world doesn't actually exist. It is just heaven and hell. And hell is where you torture yourself with your own sins, and heaven is where you go if you don't torture yourself. So thank you, Hope.
That's really nice, Hope. Absolutely, man. A little more of Chloe's spell, and could Michael have fallen in love with her?
A little more of Chloe's spell.
I'm assuming that's just her, I don't know. Like, I guess just, maybe if he spent more time with her.
Talk a little bit more about, I mean, I think one of the things I loved about episode 502 is the idea that like Michael came down with a plan, and then Chloe hijacked that plan unintentionally, because there is a reason Lucifer was drawn to her. There's a reason that a lot of us are drawn to her.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so to me, what was interesting is Michael started to actually understand his brother, but instead of understanding his brother and respecting what his brother was dealing with, he instead went, I want this too, which I think reflects his own selfishness and his own perspective, which is instead of going, oh my God, maybe this is an opportunity for me to learn about my brother, it became maybe this is an opportunity to take that happiness, which is, again, it's that selfish versus selfless struggle that so many of us go through, that so many of our characters go through.
And also, again, testament to Lauren's acting, because, and sometimes, I mean, really not having Lucy there for the first couple episodes gave Lauren, I think, a real chance to shine on her own as well. So that's cool. All right, Tara has an interesting question, and again, the Zapruder film. Joe, can you hint or tell us any more about the beloved character Death that you will be mentioned in a TV Guide article?
Woo, I can. There is a beloved character who dies.
And it's in 5B?
It's in 5B.
Wow. Oh my God. Again, you're gonna tear our hearts out once again. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, listen, our intent is to break hearts, but also tell endings. And just because we were ending that doesn't mean there aren't other endings to tell in the next season, but that there is a ending coming up.
Entre Mundos, sorry, Entre, hold on. And it's so great. Everyone's asking questions, so they jump on me.
Yeah, I know, they're awesome.
And she asked, excuse me, Entre. Well, Ella mean Michael. I thought Ella did mean Michael.
Well, she meant Michael as Lucifer.
Right. Oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah.
But so they met.
Okay. Fair enough, man. That's hilarious. I understand. Let's see. Oh God, yeah. Once again, everyone's like freaking out about the death and everything that's coming, and they don't want to take it.
We were freaking out about the death, so I'm with you guys. I don't know who did that, but they're just mean.
Was it a tough choice to try? Like, was that a discussion about? I mean, we have so much life and death in this show that maybe it would be impactful to or even choosing who to kill.
Yes, and I see Erica was talking about Chloe's love spell, and I've said, yeah.
Okay.
It always is, and honestly, it's one of those things that we went back and forth on quite a bit and had a lot of different versions on, and we're really a number of characters' fates at the end of season 5 changed. And I'm not saying when we found out we had a season 6, but changed as we started to dig into what their character arcs were, and in particular in 5C, you get a sense of where their journeys are leading them, and you start to realize, well, some people's stories might be shorter than others.
Okay. And Sherry asks, but does death mean the end? Lucifer's died a couple times. Dun, dun, dun.
It's a good question, but if you're heading into a finale, those things end up feeling a little more final. So
I understand. And dude, we haven't talked at all in this conversation about poor Dan. Poor Dan. And the twists and turns and the ringer that you put poor Dan through. And absolutely, man. And also, it's awesome that, and forgive me, I'm blanking on Dan's real name, but didn't he direct a couple cool episodes too?
Kevin directed the 5A finale, which was our biggest fight scene we'd ever done. And my God, is he an amazing director. He is so good. He is so smart. That episode is one of, actually episodes 7 and 8 are, I think, two of the episodes that I've watched and I've had almost no notes on, where you just get them and you're like, dear Lord, this is just it. They understood it, they got it. And for Kevin, who's only directed a couple episodes, to have that understanding and have done that homework. I mean, Kevin in season 2 or 3, I can't remember, shadowed like 10 directors, just put in his time, studied, figured things out. He'll be directing. I don't know if this has been announced, but he's directing one of the episodes, season 6, because of course he is. But also DB is directing one of the episodes, season 6, and I'm so excited about that because he's going to do an amazing job. He's already shown just such an enthusiasm and excitement, and he knows the craft. It's great to be able to show off again how amazing our cast is in so many different ways.
You know, and you mentioned writers and seeing a script and going, all right, this is perfect and everything. How much rotation? Because it was funny. I was talking about this with Patrick Schumacher regarding Harley Quinn last night. And, and certainly in animation, there's a lot of rotating in and out with writers and things like that. Mm-hmm. But how much has your writer's staff changed over the 5 years?
Very little. We most of our staff, for the first 3 years, most of our staff stayed almost exactly the same. We had a couple people pop in and out who honestly left because they either had pilots or got just offers they couldn't refuse. And we let them go. But we've been really lucky because we had people who brought it to the show and were excited. And then we lost a couple writers between seasons 3 and 4 because we were canceled for a month.
Right.
And they got jobs.
Sure.
And then we brought on a couple new writers, and honestly, that was really helpful. And then this season 6, Jason Ning left because honestly, the guy should be running a show. He's ready, he's got it, and he's got a number of things in development. And he basically could have taken the job and kept going, but it's his time to step out and step up. And I could not be more excited for him. And we brought on 2 new writers this year, and that's been really helpful because having a family that's been with you for a while is great, but also having a fresh perspective. Like one of our writers, he watched all 83 episodes in like a week and a half. He'd seen like a couple of them. He was familiar with the show, and he had actually literally asked, like, can I get submitted to the show because I love it, but he'd watched like 10. So he went back and watched 83 episodes, but at the same time, now you've got someone who is like, I've just seen everything. And that freshness and also that perspective has been incredibly helpful as we're trying to do endings. Another of the writers we hired was our PA season. I always get it wrong, and she always makes fun of me. Season 3, and then became our script coordinator, and then got hired as a staff writer on a Netflix show, and then came back to us. But she's been like part of the family, but she was part of the support staff, and now she's one of the writers. And so it's fun because like she's part of the family, but she's still got an outside of sorts perspective. And so having the mix and match is always great. And one of the things that I firmly believe in is fostering a culture of writer's room that makes people desperate to come back because they're heard and they are empowered and they are allowed to speak and their words make it to the screen. I like to not rewrite scripts. I am lazy. Yeah. I do not want to change words. I often do, but I like nothing more than going, this is a good script. Or being like, hey, here's an alt pitch if you want it, but give the writers ownership. I love that a Ildi Modrovich episode feels different from a Joe Henderson episode, feels different from a Jenamata episode, but they all feel like our show.
I understand. And again, the time that we've known each other, and it's a long time. And in fact, as you pointed out, we should really do a Bendis board reunion, and all of you that have gone on to big things. But as someone that came in as a staff writer, then a showrunner yourself, Is mentoring future showrunners, is that just happen because like is there time to do that, or is
Yes.
it the
There,
okay,
there,
great. I
there
was going to
is
ask.
time. There is time, but a lot of people don't take it. But there
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Everyone on Lucifer has done every step of prep, has done every step of post. They've been on set. They've been in color timing. They've been in sound mixing. They've been in every other boring term that you don't need to know.
Video Village, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm
exactly.
hip.
They've done all of
Absolutely.
it, and they've been on every notes call. They've been in everything, and I consider Lucifer to be a training ground. Like,
That's
if
great,
you
man.
walk out of my show and you don't know how to run a show, I have failed.
Interesting.
So it's very important to me. And listen, I get it. Sometimes you get too busy or you think you're too busy. And the truth is, if you empower other people, your life gets easier. You end up with more time, and then they benefit. So
Good life lesson there, Joe. Not just in writers' rooms, and truly, it's been very interesting in these truly 20 years of exploring where TV is now. And you
mhm.
think back of, and again, it's still one of my absolutely favorite shows, the Dick Van Dyke Show, and watching that writers' room. But there's been this kind of, it's not a mystique. It's like almost a rose-colored glasses opinion of all writers' rooms. And
Yeah.
and speaking to the showrunners and writers that I know, like yourself, it's very interesting to learn about the different flavors and colors of writers' rooms. So it's great to hear that that's what you're hoping to achieve in your writers' room, is as much a learning experience as much as helping yourself with
Yeah,
your
no.
job.
And by the way, I always tell people, like, it's selfish. If I train people to do aspects of my job, I don't have to do those aspects of my job, because now I don't have to go to this props meeting because I know that Mike Costa knows this show as well as I do. So, like, why do I need to, I mean, I'll look at things, and at times I'll be like, well, actually, I was thinking more of this, but 99% of the time he's got it, or he'll do something. I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking that. That's better. And that's what you want to create an opportunity for. And there was a question about how do we decide who gets what episodes, which I thought was a great question, because the honest answer is, we like to leave it a bit malleable at times, because for example, season 6, once again, Ildy and I wanted to write. We're both co-writing the finale together, which is important to us because we both want to end the show again. We wrote the finale season 5 together too, but also we didn't want to write the premiere. We wanted to try to write another special episode, and Ildy's writing the episode that deals with Black Lives Matter and sort of our place within the propaganda of it all, the concept of, are we propagating myths about the role of the police, and the sense that police are infallible because even if they do bad things, they're doing it for a good purpose. So, like, we wanted to speak to that. We really wanted to dig into that and had a lot of very heartfelt conversations. And then meanwhile, I wanted to do a very emotional, big swing weird episode, which I can't really say much about because it's a big, crazy, high concept episode. But it's also, I think it's probably the best script I've written of the series. And then it just became a question of, okay, well, who hasn't written a premiere? Who wants to write the second to last episode, which is its own almost finale because you're building to the end? And then the sort of walking degrees of, okay, well, what are the kind of episodes coming? What episodes have these writers written? What we like to do is, okay, if you've written a bunch of heavily mythological episodes, let's give you one that's a little different. If you haven't, let's give you a shot to write a mythological one. Like, we like to let the writers flex a bit. And if, like, we had episodes 7 and 8 had different writers on them, and they swapped because one of them was feeling very strongly about one of the episodes, and the other one was like, I love them both. And if she feels really strongly about this one, then let's do that, because that sounds like she'll do a better job on this one and I'll do a better job on this one. So
Understood. Hope with a nice compliment, giving us this one. Thank you for giving us this wonderful show. It's because you give it all you got. Absolutely, man. No, and it truly, that has been the great thing to explore in the show and these conversations show. So no, I can't agree more. So
we love
let's
it.
see here. Yeah, you see, it's so funny, kids. You're asking great questions. Really, a lot of them are just spoiler questions. So I'm not going to even put them on the screen. I think we want our presents on Christmas Day as much as we'd like to know what we're
Though I
getting.
appreciate every question, and it's fun to see them. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to do some dodging soon.
Every time Joe talks about the show ending, I feel like I need to breathe into a paper bag. I'm going to be so gutted when it's all over. Absolutely, man.
So will we. So will we. Like, I mean, I was actually texting with Ildy right before I got on here, because I found a picture of the first Lucifer writers board we've ever done.
Wow.
So like the very first marker board, and we were texting, and she wrote like she's like, it's amazing, because it was basically like a character board of Chloe and Lucifer, and it was like, that's still them. Like the version of them that we started with is still the version we're playing with, in as much as the iconography. They have changed so much, but we were listing just sort of like the core principles, beliefs, and dynamics, and it was like, oh, that's the people we love. That's them. It's still recognizably them, and that was day 2 of the room. Like, that's a cool thing. And yeah, we're about to have a whole lot of jaggy, snot from the nose cries in the next couple of months.
Oh, this is really nice, and it's so interesting. Gabby, am I the only one who thinks the show Lucifer just made their life better? That's very sweet.
It
Very
made my
nice,
life
Gabby.
better. So,
That's
thank
excellent,
you.
man.
That's the nicest thing you said.
Well, and a comment on that. Lucifer made my 2020 1,000% better. That's right, 10,000% better. Yeah, man. Seriously, it's again just these weird times, and how the streaming shows were able to fill this void of not being able to go to the theater, where all the other networks are on pause because of what happened. And luckily, the streamers have all these shows stacked up and movies and waiting to slot them in. So that's a great advantage as well. And it really makes all of these shows more of an event as a viewer. Yeah. So it really, again, the broadcast nerd in me, as terrible as these times are, is also fascinated by how pop culture has evolved and changed during this weird time.
And I think, to me, and I think to a lot of the viewers, there is just, our show is comfort. Like, as much as we break hearts and go in weird places and do things, like, I see it as comfort food. It's like, hey, here's a story of people you love, dealing with issues and falling apart and pulling themselves together.
Absolutely, man. Oh, someone requested, I'm going to get back to it here. Sophie, 2001 Lolo. Please, can you record the final table read for us to see and cry? That's really interesting. And, special features is something that I wonder with the end of hard media, like DVDs and things like that. Where do they go? And honestly, it's been such a joy to see that behind the scenes kind of stuff.
I mean, listen, I watched the Game of Thrones one. Like, I think there's an incredible value to that. We've talked about it. I don't know where we've landed. It does become, for what it's worth, a tricky game, because you want to respect the intimacy of the actors in these moments, the vulnerability of reading these words for the first time together out loud, while also giving everyone an opportunity for posterity's sake and for fandom's sake to see it. So I genuinely don't know. It's something we've talked about, but we haven't decided, because first and foremost, I want to respect the family that we've been doing this with, and make sure that we make sure we respect the moment.
Everyone is wondering, and again, I don't think you can answer this question, but will we see a baby Decker star?
I do get that question a lot.
I'm sure.
I mean,
come on, Linda and Amendiel's kid needs someone to play with, so come on.
All I'll say is we have a baby right now, but
yeah, I understand, buddy. No, it's all good. A couple nice comments from
Rachel. I mean, we have Charlie right now. I'm not saying that they
right. Absolutely, Charlie needs. That's what I'm saying. Charlie needs someone to play with. Quarantine made me a Tom Ellis fangirl. First, I found Lucifer, which led me to the BBC show he was on, Miranda. So now I have 2 favorite shows. That's amazing. And yeah, man,
that's awesome. He's so good in that too, Miranda. Oh.
And just, I mean, again, Tom was so the right guy for this role. And it really, honestly, he's amazing.
What he does, and it's funny because having read the script as an outsider and then watched it, is he infuses every moment with a charm and innocence and Peter Pan-esque merriment and fascination that makes this character, who could be played sleazy or lecherous, instead feel whimsical and wonderful. And it is such an amazing fine line that he is able to pull off. And it's just, and by the way, everyone should know how much work it is. It seems effortless. It looks effortless. That guy works his butt off on this show. And obviously with him playing 2 roles in particular, but that is all craft. That is work.
Yeah, and also again, you're 100% right. 90% of the time, that's what we get. But it's those moments of menace or just crazy eyes that he is able to just like dip into at a second. And man, it feels like, all right, here's the camera, and he's this close to the camera, and just I mean those close-ups. And you just get that range of I'm trying to be charming, but really I'm an asshole and I'm insane and I can kill you in a second. Why am I even talking to you? And those are my moments where I'm like, this is fantastic. What a performance to watch. So it's the best, man. Absolutely. And again, Sherry, Lucifer has been one of the saving moments of 2020. Even took a day off from teleworking to binge all of 5A. That's great. It's been my relief from the 2020 election stress. Amen, sister.
Same here. Same here. Biden Harris. Yeah. Biden Harris. Please vote.
Yes, please. Absolutely. My God, yes. Let's see here. What else have we got? Chloe said in Monster that Lucifer was missing his extreme glee. Perfect description. Sure.
Oh, I love
Outstanding.
that. Yeah, that's a good reminder.
And Mikkel C. want to say thanks to the crew who make this show possible. 100%.
And by the way, the crew who are working through COVID right now and came back because they love the show. They love the show. They love the actors. They like us. Okay. They love the craft. They love making the show for you guys to watch. So
that's awesome. Joey, I mean, honestly, it's been almost an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, let's do like 3 more minutes and then wrap because I am fading.
Buddy, no. And I got to get up early and
you're at like it's like are you
I took a nap. Yeah, but I took a nap. I didn't watch the Ringos live because I'm like, all right, I really need to lie down. I get like 2 hours of sleep. But no, I've as you can tell, man, I'm smiling and I'm energetic because I got my sleep in. So no, we're fine. Okay, here. Tara asks how is post-production on 5B coming along?
It's coming well. It's I tweeted a couple days ago. I watched a cut of 516. All the episodes up to 516 are done. It's just the finale. Don't get too much hope that speeds things up too much because 516 every episode takes a while, and it helps that the rest of them are all pretty much locked and done. But I also don't know how much Netflix has done with them. They have to localize every episode. They've got to do a lot of work. Maybe they've done that. Maybe they haven't. I don't know. What I know is we are trying to give them as much as possible to speed things up on our end. But having said that, 516 is going to take a while. It is a very expensive episode.
Excellent. That's great to hear, man. And truly, Joe, now that it's been 2 full seasons as you finish this final episode of season 5, and obviously I'm sure you're going to say positive things, but this transition from Fox to Netflix, I mean, does it make it harder or easier to make the show?
I mean, it's funny because it's a little bit of both. Like, it's easier for one because we were treated slightly differently. Like, we were a bubble show on Fox,
right?
And then when Netflix got us, we were a bit of just a lark almost. It was like, hey, the show seems to have a lot of fans, and we love it, so we'll give you a try. And by the way, like a lot of people have like said that we got a lot more money in season 4. It's actually it was the exact same amount of money. That we previously had. We just kept getting better and better at figuring out how to spend it, and technology got better. Like the face technology. Towards the end of season 3, we started to ask them, "Can we have Lucifer say a word with the devil face?" And they said no. And then 2 weeks before shooting, they said, "Yeah, you can say anything you want." And I was like, "Wait, but literally 2 months ago, you said," and they're like, "Yeah, that's how fast the technology is changing." They're like, "It's getting better at such a crazy rate." I think that's when like we started to see Thanos from the Avengers movies, and like technology was just starting to really get there. And so a lot of it is that these technological tricks and the affordability of these things came up. But in particular, after season 4, it was like, oh, okay. And Netflix always had faith in us. They were always very supportive. But like after then, they were like even more so. It was just more affirming. But honestly, like I think part of it was they just agreed with the story we wanted to tell. They loved the eve of it all. They loved it conceptually. They loved being able to get to the devil transforming into a devil. Like there's just a lot of elements that they immediately understood, and they also understood the heart.
That's
and
awesome.
By the way, so did Fox in a lot of ways. It's just network TV is really, really hard, and 22 episodes is really hard. And we had a lot of great executives who loved the show, who had a lot of great thoughts, but it's a different paradigm, and it's really, really tricky. But I got to tell you, I got a lot of just incredible emails from Fox executives when Netflix picked us up.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And you were so right, Joe, because truly, if we've learned anything in the last 10 years, specifically, it seems genre fiction on the big four is a really tough sell. Hell, look at Supergirl on CBS that first season, and they're like, I don't know if it fits. And here we are 5 seasons later with Supergirl on CW. And thank God there is something like CW. And certainly the streamers and basic cable are built for these shows better.
Yes.
And also, like you were saying about how special effects technology has improved. Again, I was talking to Mark Miller this morning, and we were comparing what they were able to do on Bendis's Power show on Sony PlayStation years ago to what they can do now. And Mark, it took a long time to convince Mark to stop thinking about his properties as features and thinking about him as TV. And truly, man, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but Mark wasn't a big TV watcher. He'd buy DVDs and see them after the fact. And I'm like, Mark, you got to start doing TV. It's a bigger canvas. You can tell more complex stories. Yep. He certainly gets it now, being in the Netflix family as you guys are and stuff.
Well, the technology and the budget has caught up. CJ, will God show his wings anytime? Allow me to ask you a question. Who says God has wings?
Interesting. Very good. I love that. That's fantastic. Someone asked if Lauren is going to sing in the musical.
Wait, it's Cornelius' birthday? Oh, I gotta write him. Thank you, Erica. That is great to know. Cornelius is awesome. Sorry.
No. It's cool, buddy. No, I'm glad you're one of our.
He's one of our set PAs, and he is just a lovely, lovely, wonderful human being, and also does all these great behind-the-scenes posts and things like that to really make the fans feel welcome and shared and everything. So thank you for that heads up. Sorry, what were you gonna say, John?
No, I was going to just ask. Someone was asking if Lauren is going to sing in the musical. I don't know if you're able to reveal that or not.
I'm not able to reveal who sings in the musical other than the clip that you have seen.
Fair enough, buddy. Well, listen, let's wrap up because and truly, everybody, I can't thank you enough. The Ringos ended a lot earlier, I think, than people anticipated. So we had kind of an hour of nothing. And I was really concerned that who was going to gather. I mean, thank God, and truly the Word Balloon audience as well, that my regulars are here and representing. But truly, Lucy fans, I can't thank you enough for showing up and asking such wonderful questions. I hope you enjoyed the type of conversation Joe and I have had. We certainly have had years of rapport to make this possible. But if you like what you hear here and you're new to Word Balloon, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing to the podcast and the video here. Because
let me double that down, because John is one of the best interviewers in the biz. And if you want to learn about comics, any version of entertainment, if you want deep dives into how it works and what people are thinking, I mean, I podcast you all the time. So I also listen to him on time and a half. So it's very confusing when I hear him on normal speed.
I don't blame you, Joe. I understand these shows do get long, and I do that with a lot of my favorite podcasts.
I listen to everything on time and a half. So.
Again, man, we're all busy. No, hey, man, and that really means a lot, Joe. And I know we're friends, but seriously, as a guy who's been radio broadcasting and got some opportunities to interview, but truly, it's been the last 15 years doing this podcast that has elevated my game, hopefully. And it's because of talking to people like yourself and willing to go in interesting directions and tolerating my curiosity and where my questions come from. So thank you.
I love it. Always love talking to you, man. So this is a real treat for me.
All the best, and seriously, stay safe. And we're all thrilled with what you guys are doing with Lucifer. And we know the end is coming, but it's been a hell of a ride, literally and figuratively. And we're so pleased that you guys are able to tell the stories you want to tell. And truly, cast and crew, they bring it with every episode. So congratulations on such an incredible production.
Thank you, John. Thank you, the Word Balloon folks who hung around. Thank you to the Lucifer fans. You seriously, guys, like, season 5B is going to be amazing. Season 6 is going to just. We are sticking this landing. It is the most important thing to us. We will get it. We are so thrilled for you guys to see it, and just thanks for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for if you came just because you're a Baltimore Comic-Con fan. We got another day of incredible programming, literally 14 hours of programming tomorrow. We're going to start at 10 in the morning Eastern time. Our last panel is 11 o'clock. Sunday night, and really great stuff. If you're watching this on the Word Balloon or Facebook channels, make sure you go to BaltimoreComicConLive.com for a full schedule. But truly, this was a big highlight, and I can't thank you enough, Joe, for making the time and talking to everybody. Thank you, buddy.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody, stay safe, stay happy.